Malcolm X said the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. So are you prepared for your next big leadership move? That's the mission of the 19th Annual Women's Leadership Conference on August 31st and September 1st at the MGM Grand Conference Center. Unite with a community of women and men, all professionals committed to growing their skills, their influence, and their impact. So they're ready to step into new horizons in their careers. Because great leaders never stop thinking, learning, and evolving. They're made, not born. To attend this year's Women's Leadership Conference, visit fwle.org today.
You know, it feels like everybody's going after Warner Brothers and Paramount to try and stop this merger, and now Nevada joined the fight. Elle Hope, the founder of Spotlight Poetry, joins us to help explain why. Plus, monsoon season is upon us, so our creative producer Jacob Solis is also jumping on to help you navigate the crazy weather. And what's the worst intersection in Las Vegas? Is it Trop and University Center? If you think it is, you're in luck, because some big changes are coming down there. It's Wednesday, July 15th. I'm Jesse Merrick, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. All right, Elle, Jacob, thank you guys for joining us today. How's it going?
It's going well.
Hey, doing great.
Awesome. Well, hey, look, we're going to get started with something that I love. One of my favorite things that we do here at CityCast is our neighbor shout-outs. We've been slacking on them a bit lately, so we're getting to two of them today. And essentially what that is if you're one of our CityCast Las Vegas neighbors, you get to shout out a local business or somebody in town doing some cool things. And so we've got two of them for you here. Brian B. shouts out the Doberman Drawing Room in the Arts District. He said phone use is discouraged and his immaculate vibes and awesome drinks, which I think is just great too. I love Doberman. I love the fact that not everybody's always on their phones, always a cool setup there. Also to Victoria H. She's actually shouting out herself, saying graphic and experimental designer, founder of Pink Kitty Creative, designer of the City of Las Vegas logo, and Victoria H. actually is also going to be commissioned to do a mural at the new parking structure down in the 18B Arts District as well. So pretty cool. You'll be able to see her work up there. I'm curious, Jacob and Elle, do you guys have any shout outs that you want to get to? I mean, we let our members do it. Is there anybody that you want to shout out on the show before we get rolling?
Oh my gosh, on the spot.
Putting you on the spot.
Can I do a personal shout out? I would like to shout out the Spotlight Poetry Slam team for taking home second place at the Bigfoot Regional Poetry Festival competition up in Portland, Oregon. And they brought home the third title for the City of Las Vegas.
Wow, that's awesome.
Nice. Mine is not nearly as fun, but I ran out of coffee today, so I got a fresh bag of Vesta coffee beans. And I'm going to say this about Vesta. The thing is having freshly roasted beans with a date on the bag. I swear to God, if I go to another store with a coffee bag that doesn't have a date on it, why would I ever buy it? Don't tell me Best Buy.
There are places that have no date on it? That's a thing? Wow.
They just sell you coffee beans. God knows when it was roasted. Who
That's
knows?
Crazy.
So,
I just started drinking coffee a couple years ago, so I'm new to the coffee scene. So all the bags I've ever seen only have dates on them. That's crazy.
That's the thing. Look, I love a delicious crema on my freshly made espresso. So kudos to Vesta for actually putting the date on their bag. That's what I'll say.
Yep. Shout out to Vesta. I love it. For my shout out, I'll go a little bit different way. Elle, you take the cake for, the cool, the nice feeling one and everything. We're going after coffee. And for me, booze or wine, that is. I'm shouting out Garage East. My girlfriend loves that spot. We went there recently. It's down in the Arts District. And we hadn't been in quite a while. I am not a wine guy. My palate is not refined in that regard. So anytime we go in there, it's kind of a joke with their owner about like, oh, let's see if we can find one that you like. And we hadn't been in there a while. And he actually remembered me and came to the table with an awesome wine. So I was all about it. Like, I just think Garage East is an awesome setup. And they very clearly care about all the customers, whether you're there constantly or just every now and then, kind of like we've been.
Wow, gotta check that out.
I'm gonna check that place out.
Yeah, they're legit. In the meantime, though, let's take a bit of a pivot here. Elle, you're going to dive into a merger that everybody seems like they're trying to stop, and now Nevada get in on the party here. What's going on with Warner Brothers and Paramount, and why is Nevada trying to stop this merger?
Whew, yeah. Let's get into the tea, shall we? So, a coalition of 12 state attorneys generals, including Nevada's very own Attorney General Aaron Ford, has filed a lawsuit to stop a proposed, get ready for this number, y'all, $110 billion merger between Paramount Skydance and Warner Bros. Discovery. I know.
It's a lot of money.
More than I will ever see in this lifetime.
If we pull our money together, though, we might have a shot.
Yeah, we could probably get there. Yeah, sure.
We might get a crumb.
Yeah.
Now, they argue that the merger would violate federal antitrust law by creating one of the largest entertainment companies in the world, not just in, the States, in the world, and giving it too much power and control over film and television. So, according to this lawsuit, the merger would reduce competition across Hollywood, leaving just a handful of companies controlling most major movie releases and cable television. The attorney generals argue this would likely lead to fewer choices for consumers, higher cable costs, less diverse programming, and more leverage over movie theaters and cable providers. Now, Paramount has rejected these claims and says it plans to defend the merger, but the states, however, are asking the court to prevent the companies from completing the deal until the lawsuit is resolved. So I'm sure everyone knows for this past couple years, Nevada has been working to attract more film and television productions through film tax incentives, studio developments. And if those were to go through, Warner Bros. And Paramount are two of the 5 major film companies that would potentially bring those jobs and production opportunities to us here.
Yeah.
Now, why is Aaron Ford stepping into the room? I think it's actually really important that he's stepping into the room because we'll go ahead and say the scary word. It seems like there's a monopoly approaching us, right? And the intention of bringing a film industry here to Nevada, what was first sold to us, at least not only for economic development, bringing jobs and opportunities, but it was also a way for us to highlight local story creators and artists who are developing within that field itself. And so if we're bringing a major potential film monopoly here to Nevada, what does that look like for us? Are we sacrificing artistic diversity for corporate efficiency? What does that look like for the average consumer too? Because now everything's getting more expensive, prices are going up, and I'm sure if you're like me, I'm already crashing out because I think I'm spending well over $100 a month.
Because we were like piecemealing all these different like streaming services and stuff like that. But the cost does add up for a lot of folks. So I get it. And to your point, Elle, when you talk about like just how much of an impact this could make on the industry, I think one of the crazy stats that's thrown out there is that if this merger does go through, it would leave 4 companies, in a sense, that would be in charge of the film distribution, or at least of 85% of all film distribution in the U.S., all film releases, which is pretty crazy when you sit back and think about it. Jacob, that obviously seems like a pretty massive deal when it's consolidated that much, right?
Yeah, because I remember, I was in journalism school. It was a big deal that only 6 companies were in charge of 80% of all media. So that we're getting down to 4 is almost outrageous. And to Elle's point, too, I think what's most interesting to me about the sort of Nevada angle of this is coming into this lawsuit, it was sort of widely anticipated that California in particular was going to take the lead. Obviously, a ton of film production still in California, but they've struggled for years with film companies moving production either to places like Georgia, which had crazy tax incentives, but now even Georgia's struggling because they're moving it to the UK, where not only do they have those same tax incentives, but they have like government-funded healthcare. So it's just cheaper to employ people on a movie set in the UK than it is in Georgia, or especially in California. So, owner of Paramount that's trying to buy WB, David Ellison, threatened California by saying he would take production out of California for all Paramount productions and presumably for WB productions too. So if Nevada's getting into this then, and Nevada, like Elle said, literally just had this debate, a year ago about whether or not we should try and do these tax incentives to bring productions here, certainly I think Nevada could be in the realm of punishment, we'll call it. In the punishment zone, maybe, if David Ellison is feeling particularly vindictive. And I think it's a genuine question because we don't know if they're going to try and do this again in 2027 in the next legislative session. Sony was the other party there. Maybe Sony comes back to the table. Maybe WB doesn't. It's just, there's so many questions that I really don't know where this goes.
Yeah. Elle, I'm curious your thoughts on that aspect of it. Because again, too, like Ford is running for governor as well. So like, let's say there's a world where he potentially wins and then he's the face of going after them and everything. And then also now leading the state. That opens a whole nother can of worms in dealing with them and trying to lure a film company here to Vegas.
I think it is for sure a risk to step into the room of this conversation. I'm going to lean more pro of what Aaron Ford is doing in terms of looking out for local Nevadans here. Not only is it just a way for us to protect our local creative economy out here, but also just, the average consumer of what are we in bigger scale as a country fighting for at this point, because it does feel like everything is becoming controlled by 8 corporations at this point. And if no one's going to speak up, if no one is going to try to stop it and allow more diversity in capitalism, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, look, there has to be a balance. Like it's a weird thing to say, but there's got to be.
Yeah. Allowing that competition naturally, I feel like it allows us to have a stronger economy.
Yeah, and I think with this one in particular, like this sale is just so strange because Warner Brothers is an extremely successful production company. Last year, they cleaned up at the Oscars with one battle after another. They released Sinners, they released Superman. Like Warner Brothers is a tremendously successful company, but they are loaded with debt because of acquisition after acquisition. AT&T bought them years ago. That turned out to be a disaster. Then they merged with Discovery. That turned out to be a disaster. That laden the company with debt. And so now the CEO, trying to just get a golden parachute, opens it up for sale to a company, Paramount, run by David Ellison, who is the son of Larry Ellison, who's the billionaire founder of Oracle, a company that nobody knows what they do. It's just outrageous that this is even happening. Like, why is Warner Brothers, a successful company, being sold to a less successful company, Paramount, that doesn't have a real streaming service that could compare with HBO Max, for instance, doesn't have the prestige in the movies. It's so weird. To say nothing of the fact that the reason David Ellison owns Paramount is because his smaller production company bought Paramount basically because he went to his dad and was like, "Daddy, I would like a larger media company." And he was like, "Sure, son, whatever you want." And like, that can't be how this country runs. What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, and I think even too, like the interesting part in this to me too, is like we talk about the film industry side of it, but also too, just in terms of like basic cable as a whole, like if this does go through, it would leave only the merged company and Disney in control of 59% of all basic cable in the country too. So that's another ripple effect that I think we can't forget about wrapped up in this whole thing. Like it's not just about film, and I know that's such a big talking point with it. It's about basic cable in general and where a lot of the messaging is coming from too. All right, let's keep it moving now. Vegas, it doesn't rain very often, but we do have monsoon season, contrary to what a lot of people may want to believe out there. It does come, and when it does, it comes with some force. So, Jacob, I know monsoon season is coming. Did you remember that it was coming?
No, I completely forgot. When
it blindsides me every year.
I woke up and there were clouds, like there was no sun, and I was like, "What's happening? Why is it still dark? What's going on?"
Isn't that just like the dramatic, like a Vegas local in us though, where like, again, like I was walking around the neighborhood and there's a lady that's like, "Oh, it sucks, I'm depressed." And it's like, well, yeah, we only get like 15 days of clouds, which I am that person 100% too. Like I hate it, but it's just so funny that that's how we are.
Yeah, I know. I was like, because I see people online like, "Oh, I could never live where it's sunny all the time." No, you kid. It's awesome. I digress though, because yes, to the monsoon point, I think it's so interesting that people are like, the monsoon doesn't happen because that's a phenomenon in subtropical India or whatever. Well, sure. But second, you're wrong. Because monsoon is literally just a descriptor of what happens to wind patterns seasonally when land is hotter than ocean and vice versa. That's it. Arm yourselves with knowledge, everybody. That's
and our
what
land gets hot.
It does.
Exactly. So, right, when the land is hot, warm air rises. We remember this from physics. I don't know, where would you learn such a thing? Warm air rises, so it draws in that cold air from over the ocean that is full of moisture. That cold air comes in from the ocean, immediately condenses over the land, turns into rain. Boom, monsoon moisture. Now you know. In Vegas, anyone who's lived here, I think, we'll call it for 10 years, because some years, obviously, there's no monsoon. What monsoon, people might say. Yep. And then some years, you get punished for thinking that in the first place. And so in 2023, for instance, there was the quote unquote Hurricane Hillary or Tropical Storm Hillary or whatever it was, the storm of the century. That was, not too bad in Vegas, but it was really damaging up in Mount Charleston. But there were famous flooding years, going back to like 2012, or there was one in 1974. Credit to our newsletter writer, Rob Catchell-Reese, who did the research
deep in the archives. Yes. Yeah, shout out to Rob.
And so the monsoon moisture is real. The thing is, it can be more real or less real this year because of El Nino. What is El Nino, you might be asking?
That's a whole nother... we got a super El Nino, right? Isn't that what's coming?
Yes. Super turbo triple El Nino.
I love it. Sounds like a truck.
It does. Yeah, you'd think. So El Nino literally just has to do with where water's moving in the Pacific. Normally it's like moving west. There's essentially cold water moves up as warm water moves over. It's a whole thing. Water, how does it work? El Nino just means that the jet stream moves down, essentially. As the jet stream moves down, that moist air from the Pacific gets shoved across the southwestern U.S. into the Gulf Coast, and that becomes super wet. So the expectation this year for meteorologists, this from NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, maybe?
Great name. Great name.
It's a mouthful, yeah.
Oh, it is. But NOAA says it will be a sort of weaker than expected monsoon, but still there, with the expectation that El Nino, which peaks in December, will sort of push a lot of moisture in next year too. So expect something, maybe. Who can say with the weather? But moisture, it's maybe on the way.
Maybe some, maybe lots of it, maybe not that much. We'll kind of wait and see. Although when it does come, it comes in droves, and it's very interesting out here. So, El, you've had your fair share of experiences of, the monsoon season here in Vegas. What tips do you have for our listeners to avoid catching yourself in a precarious situation? Let's call it that.
Oh, yeah. I remember, Jacob brought it up, the 2023 monsoon we had, and our roads were just flooded. I was actually stuck at work that day, and we had to stay late because there was just no way to get home. Everything was flooded.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And it's wild because, like you said, living in a desert, you think rain. What? There's no way. There's no way it can get that strong, or it could create, washes, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm from Tucson, Arizona, too. So we had our fair share of monsoon season. So I've seen some crazy rain. And moving to Las Vegas, I was one of those people who was like, a monsoon season. Yeah. Sure.
I didn't think it was real. Sure. I didn't think it was a thing. Yeah.
And then I got here and I saw it and I was like, oh, and there's been a couple times I've lived it too. So I think my main key advice would, one, if you see a giant puddle somewhere, don't let temptation win. Don't drive through it. Stay safe. I think they say it's 6 to 12 inches. Yeah. You can get swept away if it's moving water. So stay safe. And the other one that I think, gets overlooked a lot of the times because we live in Las Vegas and we don't think about it a lot, is it's time to get those windshield wipers replaced.
Yes.
We suck at that. We suck at replacing them. And I don't know, going off on my own experience here, I'm always like, damn it, I didn't replace them when it's monsoon season, when it's dumping. That is definitely the worst. Jacob, to the one where she's talking about, don't drive through puddles and stuff, what is it? Turn around, don't drown. That's obviously so big. We see the billboards everywhere. It only takes a couple inches of water or whatever it is, 18 inches, I think, to be able to pull most cars away. Have you ever actually seen somebody get swept away in those things or not turn around? Because it's also a weird situation where you're trying to get somewhere, sit in an intersection, and you're like, I think I can make it. I think I can. That's a dangerous situation to put yourself in.
I have seen people just go for it, and they didn't get swept away, but you could see that the car was not just maybe slowly fully prepared. Yeah. No, people will go at it at speed. If they just see a big puddle, they're like, whatever. Foolish. Don't do that, by the way.
Yes, please don't.
I think the other thing, my actual tip here, besides, replace your windshield wipers, because what else is more Las Vegan than turning on that windshield wiper and then just the squeakiest,
it's the worst thing ever. Yeah. You can't squeeze, zero visibility, you're just stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, don't assume that whatever car you have, because it has an elevated suspension or whatever, is actually going to survive.
I feel attacked. I drive a Jeep. Come on, that's an attack at me. That's a personal attack.
As a driver of a humble Mazda crossover, my little Japanese import is not going to handle.
Yeah. To be fair though, and shout out to Layla, our executive producer, for looking this up on the fly for us. It only takes 12 inches, 1 foot of moving water to carry away most cars. And for me here, who thinks that, I got a Jeep, I'll be fine. It only takes 18 to 24 inches to sweep away large SUVs and trucks, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Because that doesn't seem like a ton of water. And how many times have you seen that laying around on our streets during monsoon season where people are flying through in, Honda Civics or just low vehicles in general? I see it all the time for sure, especially living downtown. The drainage is not good downtown. I live in some of the older neighborhoods. Yeah, which I love living downtown, but I definitely hate it during monsoon season, especially too, because I'm on a hill and my house as a whole is fine. My street's good, but the water always runs into the back of my garage, and I have a garage gym in there, and it floods everything, and it sucks. So I spend like the next like week like draining everything, letting it all dry out and everything like that. So my tip is sandbags. Even if you are okay and whatnot, your house is elevated enough, I think sandbags are key. That's what saved me massive headaches over the years.
Smart.
All right, speaking of transportation, we're going to keep kind of moving along and talk about some crazy intersections here around the valley. One in particular has been driving people crazy for years, and it sounds like it might actually be getting fixed. If you've ever tried to get from Harry Reid Airport to the Strip or navigated the area around UNLV and the Thomas and Mack Center, you know that the Tropicana and University Center Drive intersection there isn't really great, and Clark County has been trying for years to figure it out. Really since 2018. It's kind of wild that it's been this long of an ongoing saga down there. So let's give you like a quick history about it all. The first plan was to build an elevated overpass. UNLV said no to that because it actually would have blocked the view of the Thomas and Mack. And who doesn't want to get views of the Thomas and Mack? You know, that's good exposure for them. So they switched their plan to an underground plan, which also doesn't sound great as we're talking about monsoon season and all that stuff. That one, though, too, carried a cost of $210 million. So as you can imagine, that got scrapped. Then they went back to the overpass idea, but with a revised design idea behind it. And that's where they're going to go with things now. It essentially is a modified northbound overpass on University Center Drive that is like 400 feet shorter than what they proposed in the original plan back in 2018, and now costs about $97 million, which is roughly half the price of the underground version if they had gone forward with that. And it's expected to take 2 years to build instead of 3. So there's a lot of positives with this whole deal. And the big reason why this one went through, as I noted, the other plan for the overpass would have blocked the Thomas and Mack. This one keeps the Thomas and Mack visible. All important to be able to keep eyes on that. And then also, too, it opens the door for more expansion in the future of Tompkins Avenue, which could eventually create a new east-west connection between the airport and the resort corridor, which I think is massive. Because I'll be honest, for me, when I read the story and heard about this, you know, I was reading it on the RJ there, I was like, does this intersection like really need to be addressed? I'm also a Southern Californian at heart, so like I have a different view of traffic, but that area does suck. And I think adding more east-west connections between the airport and the resort area is massive. Do you guys think it's warranted to spend, $97 million on this intersection in particular? Do you have any history with it over there?
I actually used to live right across the university over there on Tropicana and Maryland Parkway. So I have lived through it. Through cowboy rodeos to games. I think it's 100% worth it, to be honest with you. I think it is one of those intersections that we overlooked because for most Nevadans, or I should say Las Vegans, we don't really engage with it that much, right? It's kind of either you're getting picked up by the airport, heading to the airport, or heading to a game at UNLV. But when you live in that area, it gets so cramped and so crowded. And it just, every time I'm there, I always think there has to be a better way to do this. There has to be a better way to alleviate this amount of traffic, especially when they have high ticketed events. Like I remember during the rodeo season, it would take me an extra 30 minutes to get home, you know, because there's only 3 ways you can really go in that area. So I'm very pro for it. That entire area gives me anxiety. The way traffic is set up. So I'm very pro construction happening over there. The number is crazy, but if that's what it takes to, you know, alleviate some of those headaches for everyone, I think it's worthy.
Yeah, I always go back and forth on the numbers when they're thrown around like that because also too, like, and look, I am a sports guy. Don't get me wrong on this. I see the money that we throw around for these sports teams and stuff and money that goes towards stadiums, which is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, you know? So I'm like, okay, what's 97 mil to fix an area that people deal with all the time that impacts both locals and visitors. So, but it is still a big number to wrap your head around for sure. Jacob, what's your take on this whole thing?
That intersection, to me, I didn't go to UNLV, but I was formerly a higher education reporter, so I was always driving to UNLV. Yeah. I hate that intersection with a fiery passion. It is designed awfully. It's like 8 or 9 lanes or something stupid.
There's people way too many lanes for a normal surface street right there. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. And then like half of them, you have to like anticipate like, okay, I'm going to turn left onto Tropicana and then right onto Harmon. So that means I need to be 3 lanes from the left. Like you have to do like mental math ahead of time. No, bad.
Yeah.
And then
we get paid to talk for a living, not do math. So I get that.
Yeah, not me. the street itself is in terrible condition. There's potholes everywhere. And for my entire life, I've just remembered always being in awful condition. And so, look, whatever price they have to pay is fine. They could have done the $200 whatever million. Sure, underground. Cool. Do whatever you got to do, because what a nightmare. Most roads in and around there are nightmares. Godspeed to anyone who has to get in and around the airport when there's traffic and you're not coming from the freeway. But look, it's a start, so I'll take it.
Hey, look, anything that improves it, it makes it easier. Again, as we continue to grow, the traffic at the airport's only going to get crazier. And as UNLV gets better at sports too as well, like they've been kind of down, like that's going to increase more. Obviously now I'm sure it's very crazy because of Summer League and stuff too, as many fans are cycling through there as well. But is it actually the worst intersection in Las Vegas? Like where would you guys rank it? And if it's not the worst, what is the worst intersection in Vegas and why?
I think it's top 3 for sure.
Top
like
3?
It's up there. Yeah.
So
I would also put it top 3.
Yeah. What's your number one, Elle? Like, let's not go through the whole rankings because that's going to be tough to sit there and do. But what would be your like the worst intersection? Like Jacob said, it's like he hates this one with a passion. So where would you rank your what is your top one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be either Paradise and Desert Inn, or it's going to be Flamingo and Maryland Parkway.
Yeah,
because that one as a pedestrian is absolute chaos. Maryland and Flamingo. That
one sucks.
It's terrible. And you're always going to have a car accident there. It doesn't matter what time of day. There's always going to be an accident. Something's going on. And then Paradise and Desert Inn, solely because I don't think people understand how a speed limit works in that area. And so they'll just plow through red lights like it's nobody's business. So it can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
Something about Desert Inn, just because it just turns people's brains off. I don't know what it is.
I
agree. Flamingo in Maryland was the first thing that came to mind. Again, having to drive to UNLV. Oh, driving Maryland. Just
Maryland Parkway in general, just horrible in terms
you
of
can kind of understand why it's always under construction, because they're like, well, we got to be able to do something to it. And then whatever they do is always some half measure that isn't enough. So they continue half measures until morale improves. But my God, Flamingo in Maryland. And not only that, having when F1 construction comes around and that inevitably stretches all the way out to UNLV somehow. Yeah. Oh my God. Fire me into the sun, I guess. There's just no way to deal with it.
Yeah, I would say for me right now, and I'm kind of like cheating and doing this, but it's Charleston and every single street downtown where all that construction is going on. All of those intersections suck because I live down here. So like I can't tell you the last time, aside from getting off the freeway, that I've driven on Charleston anywhere downtown. I avoid it like the plague. Like no way in hell I'm going down there because it is a mess. Even when I'm driving on Maryland Parkway to drive up to like Fremont area and stuff like that. That intersection there, Maryland Parkway in Charleston, is the worst as well. So like, I'm just lumping it all together. I cannot wait till that stuff's done. It's needed, don't get me wrong, but I can't wait till it's done because I haven't been able to take Charleston and actually just drive east to west on it in God knows how long. It's crazy.
I feel like the city needs to schedule a huge party when all the construction is done. Like, bring all the locals out. We need to have like a drive, celebration up and down the road. What was it called? Cruising back in the day?
Yeah.
Everyone put your cars out. Let's get on that fresh pavement, have a good time. Because we need it. We deserve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bring some good vibes back to the road. I think we need that. I love that. Oh, that's a great place to end right there as we just say, hey, bring good vibes to the road. There's too much. We hear too many stories about like road rage in Vegas and da-da-da-da-da. Everybody just be happy, relax. We're all going to get where we need to go, right? All right, Elle, Jacob, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing good vibes to the podcast.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas, and we want to hear from you. What do you think is the worst intersection in Las Vegas? Shoot us an email at lasvegas@citycast.fm. And also, too, if you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our free morning newsletter as well. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Until then, though, take care.